It's 10 o'clock. York, Harrisburg, Lancaster, Lebanon. Time for Fox 43 News at 10. Your only source for local prime-time news.
My house is full of cards. We've gotten some donations for Justin for his trust fund.
An outpouring of love and support helps a York County family cope with their loss after a fatal fire. Good evening, and thanks for joining us on Fox 43 News at 10. I'm Donya Archer.
You're watching Fox 43 News at 10, The Early Advantage.
The AIDS epidemic is a growing problem facing our local communities.
It's 10 o'clock. Time for Fox 43 News at 10, your number one source for local prime-time news.
Someone may die for the lack of communications. We can't allow that.
Emergency response officials in York County are concerned tonight about what might happen if some serious problems are not fixed with the county's 911 communication system. Good evening, and thank you for joining us tonight for Fox 43 News at 10. I'm Evan Forrester.
And I'm Sandra Bennett.
You're watching Fox 43 News at 10, The Early Advantage, with Evan Forrester, Sandra Bennett, Jim Buchanan with weather, and Tom Wormy with sports. It's 10 o'clock. Time for Fox 43 News at 10, your number one source for local prime-time news.
It means that the heart is being cut out of the education of our students.
And youngsters in one local school district could soon lose dozens of their school teachers. Good evening, and thanks for joining us for Fox 43 News at 10. I'm Evan Forrester.
And I'm Sandra Bennett.
This is Fox 43 News at 10.
Car accident or something, and when I came outside and they said someone's under the truck, it was a shock.
A tragic day along Route 30 in York County. A local construction worker is killed while on the job. Good evening, and thanks for joining us. I'm Evan Forrester. Sandra has the night off.
You're watching Fox 43 News at 10 with Evan Forrester, Sandra Bennett, Jim Buchanan with weather, and Tom Wormy with sports.
Tonight on Fox 43 News at 10.
Joshua Vieira has the zest for life you'd expect to see in most 2-year-olds. But
for every biological physical year that he has, he's aging 8 to 10 years faster than he should be.
We're trying to cram a lifetime into maybe, who knows, 8 years, 5 years, we don't know.
The rare disease that makes this little boy live his life in fast forward, and the unique way his family explains it.
Junior Nationals this year is a big one for us.
This trio of local ice skaters has been training most of their lives for a chance to compete at Junior Nationals. But competition isn't always fair.
It's possible for any judge to cheat.
Fox 43 CJ Jackson tells us how this year they won't be cheated out of a chance to win. Harrisburg is finally moving forward on its budget debt. Commerce Bank approved a $7 million loan as of today, but that doesn't mean the city is out of the financial woods yet.
Our city firefighters, policemen are our first line of defense. You know, they're in the trenches.
I don't want them to have to lay off officers. That's the last thing I want to see, but I don't want my taxes to go up either.
Well, this financial step forward comes months after city officials announced a multi-million-dollar deficit.
You're watching Fox 43 News at 10 with Evan Forrester, Heather Warner, Jim Buchanan with weather, and Todd Sadowski with sports.
A small plane crashes in Big Bear, California, killing all 3 people on board.
Tonight on Fox 43 News at 10. Vandals in Lancaster have been damaging hundreds of vehicles by pouring corrosive acid onto them.
This actually has been going on since last April, and I believe we're up to over 260 vehicles.
The acid eats through the paint and primer, causing hundreds in damage.
It's just pointless. It's just so random, and it's a shame that it's happening in the city.
Why the crimes continue to baffle police and frustrate the victims. This Captain America was caught in some unsavory behavior.
It was quite something to see the superhero, you know, at a downtime in his life.
What the superhero was doing with a burrito that got him arrested. Big changes are in store for the Midtown section of Harrisburg.
They can't do nothing but support us.
Today, Harrisburg Mayor Stephen Reed announces his master plan for the area. Everything from educational facilities to more retail space.
All of this will also give further reason for not only working in and visiting this city, but also living here as well.
The plan calls for development on a 12-acre span of the Midtown section in Harrisburg.
2 people are dead after their cars hit by flying debris along a Dauphin County road.
We are forced to be creative, to scratch around like chickens in the dirt, to try to find adequate revenue.
And leaders in York searching for funding to keep the city up and running without cutting services, the next step towards making the budget a reality.
Plus, a hard drive containing information about thousands of students and alumni from Messiah College goes missing. What the school is doing to make sure people's personal information remains safe. Good morning. It is Wednesday morning and it is a wet start to your morning here. And it was some pretty intense rain last night.
Rain, lightning.
We're the local way to start your day. We're your Fox 43 Morning News. This is Fox 43 Morning News.
The chef is in.
And now your local news in high definition. This is Fox 43 Morning News. And now your local news in high definition. This is Fox 43 News. And now your local news in high definition. This is Fox 43 News at 6:30.
Convicted child molester Jerry Sandusky sentenced today as some of his victims are in court to watch. The former Penn State football coach getting 30 to 60 years in prison for sexually abusing 10 boys.
And now your local news in high definition. This is Fox 43 News at 11.
Jerry Sandusky and his attorneys back in court today to argue for a new trial. The former Penn State assistant football coach convicted last June of 45 counts of sexual abuse involving 10 boys.
Today, his attorney made a plea to throw out that conviction.
This is Fox 43 Morning News.
America will no longer settle for anything less than the best.
This morning, after a heated and historic 2016 election season, Donald Trump has been elected president of the United States of America. Plus, some people will do whatever it takes to get to the polls, including riding a lawnmower. Hey, yeah, you got to do what you got to do, right?
Yeah, that's
Pretty nuts. We've seen crazier things, I'm
yeah,
sure.
I think so.
This is Fox 43 News, first at 4.
Bulldozers, backhoes, snow blowers, shovels, thousands digging out around the area after historic snow hit central Pennsylvania. Good afternoon, I'm Evan Forrester. We begin with your first forecast. Chief Meteorologist Mary Ellen Pan is here now. The weekend certainly one for the record books when it came to snow.
Absolutely.
Fox 43 News at 5 starts right now.
This is Fox 43 News at 5.
And first at 5, of course, talking about the weather and the storm that is headed our way.
This is Fox 43 News at 10.
Taking action, the Dauphin County District Attorney's Office is working to remove a new Harrisburg School Board member from her seat.
And could medical marijuana be taxed? Why a local state lawmaker says the state should get a portion of the proceeds of medical marijuana product sales.
And a homicide investigation underway tonight in Harrisburg after a young man was shot and killed. That shooting happened earlier this evening in the South Allison Hill neighborhood. Thanks for joining us. I'm Evan Forrester.
And I'm Allie Bradley.
The clock is ticking before classes begin, and this morning, Pennsylvania health and education leaders are answering questions from state lawmakers about how to safely reopen schools. Plus, an off-campus college party in York County is raising questions about student safety and choices during a pandemic.
First at 4 this afternoon, the Pennsylvania Department of Health and Education answering lawmakers' questions during a House and Senate Education Committee meeting. Lawmakers questioning leaders of those departments about the recommendations made for school districts to use when they reopen schools. Thanks for joining us this afternoon. I'm Evan Forrester. The Pennsylvania Department of Health and Education providing a few questions or answers to lawmakers' questions during a House and Senate Education Committee meeting. Lawmakers questioning leaders of those particular departments about recommendations made for school districts to use when they reopen their doors. Thanks for joining us this evening. I'm Evan Forrester. A photo of a college party amid the COVID-19 pandemic goes viral. Thanks for joining us tonight. I'm Evan Forrester. And as some college students begin arriving back on campuses, their choice is now raising questions about whether they'll get through the semester safely.
WPMT, TV 43, taking pride.